Hello, this is a presentation of how to configure multi-area OSPF, and it is a part of my advanced networking course. When we look at OSPF and how to set up different areas, it's actually quite simple because here we have these three areas, area 0, area 1, and area 2. And if we look at, for instance, how to configure router 1, we will see that this router here is a border router between area 1 and area 0. So what we just do here is we put in all our networks. We have 3 directly connected networks here, and we just indicate which area it belongs to. Then this will automatically make my router a ABR, an area border router. So here, just give the 3 networks and say that these 2 belongs to area 1, these 2 down here, and this network up here belongs to area 0. And that's basically it. So up here, you just say that all the networks that it is connected to is in area 0, and over here we have an area 0 up here, this link here, and area 2 down here. So you just put in the different areas that your networks belong to. And that's it. More or less the same thing that we do here in OSPF version 3. Same thing, we need to have a router ID, and then instead of using the network commands, we go to the interfaces and say which area they belongs to. And then that's it. Then the different areas are set up. We have a little thing that we can do again to make our routing process efficient, and that is to do route summary. So instead, for instance, of having 4 different networks, we can sum them up to one network if they are continuous, if the IP addresses are continuous. And we can do that. It's not something that will be done automatically for you. You have to do it manually, but we have the possibility to send summarized routes between the different border routers. So we can summarize the LSAs, send summarized LSAs from a border router to area 0, for instance, and this will be propagated to the different other areas by using the area border routers. So we can summarize, but we have to do it ourselves. So here, for instance, we can summarize these 2 routes down here and let our border router just send the summarized route instead of sending 2. So instead of having 1 routing table entry, we will have, or instead of having 2, we will have 1 instead. But of course, if we have a lot of different networks, then it's something that could be helpful for us. As a rule, we do not summarize external networks. They will not be automatically, but they can be summarized as well. Yeah, so here, instead of sending information about these 2 networks, 10.1.1.0/24 and 10.1.2.0/24, we can send a summary out to 10.1.0.0/22. And this is a summarized route of these 2. And how do we do that? Well, if we don't do anything, we will have it like this. This is before we do route summary. First of all, we have to manually find out how do we summarize these 2 networks. And by doing so, it's only one way ahead, and that is to set everything up in binary. So what we do, we take these 2 networking addresses, make them binary, and then we count how many corresponding bits are in common between these 2. And if I count them, I find out that there is a match with the first 22 bits. Then we can summarize them with a /22 subnet mask. And how do we find the network address for these new summarized routes? Well, we just keep the first 22 bits, keep them, and then we set the rest of the address to 0. So the host portion of the route will then be set to 0. And then we find out that this is 10.1.1.0. No, it is 10.1.0.0/22, which is the new summarized route. And if I want to advertise a summarized route instead of the two original route, well, then I go into my router OSPF on my border router. I say area 1 range 10.0 or 10.1.0.0, and then this is the subnet mask. This is a /22 in 255 notation. So I put the subnet mask in of the new summarized route, and then this will be summarized to the other ABRs, so that the other areas are not aware of how many networks have I actually summarized. They are only interesting when they come to my router 1 again. Then it will see that, okay, I have two different interfaces that are a part of this summary route. So it's something that is a good idea to do if you have a very large network and you want to minimize your routing table. To verify and to find out and troubleshoot if you have any problems with the OSPF, these are some of the commands that you can use. For instance, show OSPF neighbors to see what neighbors that you are directly connected to. Show IP OSPF, where you can see, for instance, on a multi-access network, where you have the DRs and the BDRs. You can use show IP OSPF interface. And of course, the more general one, show IP protocols. Show IP OSPF interface brief if you don't want all information. Show IP route OSPF will only show you the OSPF routes instead if you have a huge routing table. And show IP OSPF database will show you the link state database that you have. And if you want to use OSPF version 3, well, then you just substitute IP with IPv6, and then it will show you. For instance, here you can see by using the show IP protocol that you can also see, for instance, how many neighbors or how many areas that you are connected to. So you can see that this is an area border router. You can also see that up here. And you can see that it is connected to two areas, area 1 and area 0. Same thing if you do a show IP OSPF interface brief, will also show you which interfaces that belongs to the different areas. Just a sum up to show you some one more example of how to make summaries. This is the two IP addresses 192.168.100 and 192.168.101.0, both of them. I want to summarize them. Well, then just put them into binary and see how many bits do we have in common. In this case, we have the first 23 bits in common. So then I can make a summary. Of course, I can only do it if we have continuous IP addresses. I cannot do it if I have 192.168.100.0 and 172.16.32.15. That's not possible. So it has to be a continuous IP range. Same thing here. I can do it with 192.168.50, 51, 52. Same way applies here. Just make them into binary. Count how many corresponding bits do I have. And then find the new summary route by keeping the first, in this case, the first 21 bits. Do not do anything with them. Set the rest to 0. Then you get the new summarized route with a /21 as the subnet mask. Yeah, and that was it.